Okay, so we're like a week and a half back into school. It's really hot in Houston right now. I am sweating. It's gross. But I needed to get away from the computer. It's driving me crazy. I've been sitting in front of a screen for like close to 8 hours a day, and I hate that. I hate it so much. So I went out to the shop even though it's boiling out, and I'm just like, I just need to do something. Anything. I don't care. So yesterday I think I found some wood on one of my many benches in my shop. I found some wood. I think it's like some black and white ebony, I think. And then I just took it to the lathe and I was like, I need to turn something. So I cut it into some pieces, like some like 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch spindle blanks, and I'm like, all right, let's just do something. So I did something, and then I made these little spikes, and none of them match, but I'm still gonna make them into some earrings, some asymmetrical earrings, and Henry is gonna hate it because he hates asymmetry, but I love it. So I'm just gonna do something that's gonna make me happy. So what I did today, and I'm gonna show you, come with me. These guys right here, I made 2 sets of earrings. So you can't tell that they're sets because they just look like 1 earring each. Let me fix the lighting. Like I said, I look gross today, but I don't care because I'm out in the shop and I'm happy. All right, so you can see if you look really closely, if my camera focuses, which it won't, there is a seam in the middle, and then I'll be able to take them and split them in half. And hey, guess what? I might actually show you how to do that right now. So you're gonna start with some wood. I like book matched wood because then you can tell, well, book matched figured wood, and spalted is my absolute favorite for doing these kind of earrings because you can tell when you open it up that they are 2 matching pieces. So let's say I'm gonna use not that one because I'm saving that for something else. This is actually a really good size for some other like scales for maybe knives or something, so maybe I'll use that for that. So I'm gonna set those to the side. These don't actually match. I can't find I can't find the pieces that match these 2. So maybe I'll make some asymmetrical patterns, but here we go. I've got 2 pieces. They're book matched. They're so nice. The back side is going to look totally different on each. This one you can see that they don't really have much going on, but the fronts, look at those. Those are nice. And out of this I'll be able to get 2 pairs of earrings. So they're about 1/4 inch or so each wide or in thickness, and I don't know what the dimensions are here, but this is how I'm gonna do it. Are you ready? Yes, let's go. First of all, I'm gonna adjust you onto my disc sander. Now this has got some, I think it's 80 grit sanding disc on it. So what I'm gonna do first is just sand the faces that are going to go to each other. All right, so the faces that are going to be the inside of the book match section. And I'm actually going to do it on this sander, and then I'll show you what the next step is going to be. But first, I need to plug in my dust collector. All right, sander on. You can tell they're plugged into the same thing. So I'm just going to make sure I'm sanding the right sides. While that spins down, I'm actually going to take you back over to my little sander. It's so cute, but it's the smaller one with a higher grit on it. So this has got 220 on it, and I'm going to go back and forth between the big one and the little one quite a bit. And they share a plug, or they share an outlet. So I have to unplug the first one and plug in the second one, and this one doesn't have a dust collector set up to it right now because I took that vacuum inside. So I'm just gonna hold my breath. And it's a really small sanding disc, so I'm not gonna be able to use just the down
downward pass, so I have to kind of cover the whole thing. Just making sure I actually keep this part held down really well so it doesn't flip out of my hand. That is not how I like to file my nails. Alright, so that's nice and smooth. Do the same thing to the other side. It's so smooth. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just making sure that there are no more visible scratches. You can see it looks pretty nice. Now you can still see a little bit right there. I'm gonna take that off because I actually am gonna leave it at finish sanding at 220. So I want this to look nice. And now, sweet. Those are good. Now it's just the grain that's making that look. All right, so we've got my book match. Now I lost a little bit of that, but that's gonna be okay. I can either line it back up and try to make them match again, or just bring them back down so that they are still relatively close. And I like these little holes right here. I wonder if those will stay in the first set of earrings or the second. So now I'm gonna take that, and that is finished sanded to the way I want it, and then like afterwards I can hand sand it a little bit if I want to, or just take some steel wool to it. But I'm pretty happy with this surface. So I'm going to take some 3M double-sided tape, not the padded kind because that will mess you up. And I'm just going to tape these two pieces together. Look at that. And it fits right on there because the piece of wood that I had was about 1 inch wide. And it doesn't have to be perfect, and it's okay if it overhangs a little bit. But you want to, again, make sure that you're lining up the grain so that when it's closed, that book matching will still be book matchy. Alright, so now it's time where it gets kind of fun. So we're actually now gonna go back over to, oh, here we go, the bandsaw, and there's a car driving by, and here are some other pieces of some other wood that I was cutting earlier. Now, when I'm cutting something this small on the bandsaw, I don't always want to have my fingers so close to the blade if there is this opening here. So rather than creating a new kind of throat for the bandsaw, I created sort of a thing that just slides around the blade. And it's just made from some plexiglass that I haven't taken the coating off of yet. But all I do is just slip it right around the blade, and it's got a piece of tape that tapes it to the bandsaw, and it's okay if it wiggles a little bit, but if you're not comfortable with the wiggle, just make sure you tape it on the back too so that it doesn't wiggle at all. And then I can more safely cut the shape that I want out of these. Oh, I probably should have checked to see how the grain lined up. Oh well, we'll have 2 surprise earrings. So that way, if something happens, there's really nowhere that this can catch and roll into a space because this is just the bandsaw width cut into it. So I like that. It makes me feel a lot better about using the bandsaw. I'm gonna lower the guard, bring that down. Can you tell I've been cutting resin? Because I have. All right, before I get started, all the way over to the other side of the shop, I have a Sharpie. And then I just realized, guess where else I have a Sharpie? Right there. Why do I never remember that I have tools here? This is smart. This is an idea I got from Alex Snodgrass. When we were over at Ron Campbell's house, he explained that he does this all the time. And I don't pay attention to what I do myself, and then I forget that things are up there. So to make me feel like less of an idiot for walking across the shop, I'm going to use the Sharpie that was on the other side of the shop. So like I said, we can get 2 earrings out of this. So what I like to do is cut the piece at a diagonal. Now you don't have to worry because I am going to sand away most of this face later on. So let's see how this ends up looking. So let's say I'm going to cut it across at a diagonal, and then I'm going to cut in from where it comes off the edge to that corner. Now these are looking kind of big, so whoever gets these, they're going to have some chunky earrings. So you're making this kind of like Z pattern. And I like this shape. That's kind of nice. And this might end up being waist, or you could just make it into a couple little triangle studs later on. So try to save those pieces. So now I've got my kind of rough pattern cut. And so that I have extra room to hold everything, I like to cut this line first. And again, it doesn't need to be perfect, but I'm going to try to make it straight. And there. Now I can cut these two pieces off, and there's enough material over here I can hold on to, and I don't have to worry about touching that. Do that on both. Ta-da! And I don't want this to be a sharp point, so I'm just gonna cut those off too. And we'll see how these look when we open them back up. But we're not ready to do that yet. So now we've got these cool little sort of half diamond-y shaped earrings. This is kind of my favorite shape to make. And we're gonna go back to the disc sander. Don't you love how I keep adjusting everything and rattling you guys around? Isn't it great? I need to plug this disc sander back in again. And I'm gonna make two transitions. I'm gonna be on this disc sander to do the sides, and I'll explain why. The edges. Then I'm gonna go back over to the small one, fix the edges. And then I'm gonna go back to this one to do the faces, and then I'll go back to the other one to fix the faces. Okay, so again, I'm gonna turn my dust collector on, but yeah, we're ready to go. And the reason I'm gonna do the edges first is because there's a process I'm gonna do. Well, the order that I do this is these walls, they're still parallel at this point. So I'm going to true up that face, this one, all four of the outside edges. And then that way I can go over, make sure that they are sanded to the way that I want them before I flip it on edge and do any of this work, because I'm actually going to change the angle of this piece so that it's thinner at the top where the jewelry hardware attaches to it, and then it's thicker at the bottom. So then the walls, the faces aren't going to be parallel anymore, and it's going to make it really difficult to sand these if these faces aren't parallel anymore. It might end up cutting them off at an angle. So that's why I do all of the edges first to kind of that final sanding, and then go back and do the faces. So let's turn the dust collector on and get going on that one. Alright, gonna switch you back over again. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I do a lot of moving back and forth across the sanding disc, and the reason I do that is because if you hold it in one place for too long, the sandpaper gets really hot against the wood, and it doesn't let it get as hot if you're moving it back and forth regularly. And I don't want to clog one area of the sandpaper. You can see that this space is starting to get kind of clogged up, but that's okay. It's fine by me because it actually turns it into a less aggressive area of the sandpaper. But I don't want to burn the wood either, and that could actually happen if I hold it in one spot for too long. So again, I'm just screwing this up, making sure that it's sanded really nicely before I move on to the faces. It's really nice. Ooh. Alright, you might have noticed I did a little bit of shaping on this corner right here, and that's because there was a little wormhole right on that edge. And in order to remove it, I either just need to take the corner off or remove a lot of one face. And I decided just to round over that edge just a little bit, and I might end up doing the same thing to the others. Or just leave it like that, because that looks kind of nice too. Alright, moving back over again. to the other sander. Da-da-da. And I'm going to try to zoom in this time so that you can see more of what I'm doing, because this is where we start to get into actually a little bit more of the shaping component of this. But I'm going to flip it up on edge, and I want to keep it on one of these longer faces of the edge, and I want to try to kind of hover on this surface, like on this back corner, because this is the top of the earring. And if I hover and kind of float that bottom edge and then just press down until I get to, you can see the center here, until I get to about halfway, which is close to 1/8 of an inch. You can see I'm kind of making a mark. I'm going to work my way down a little bit. So really the bottom is full thickness, the top will be down to about half thickness, maybe a little bit more or less, give or take. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, but I have to be careful because now it's like kind of a different muscle memory, because instead I'm holding this edge and I'm pushing on that edge, and it might end up being a little bit weird. So you just have to be careful that you don't go too far. So I'm going to turn my dust collector on again. Alright, I'm going to try to make sure that it's pretty close to being even. I don't want one top surface to be a lot thicker than another. And that looks good. So I'm going to set that one to the side to the other one. Back over to the secondary sander. I love having two. I just wish I had more plugs. And I lied. I don't like that as much with that rounded edge, so I'm going to fix that. Bring it back down, and now it might be kind of crooked unless I flip it over and do a little bit of sanding on each side. Yeah, I like that sharp edge better. Alright, so now we're going to fix the faces. Alright, so we've got both of the earrings, or the earring sets. The sanding all the way around is sanded to 220, and that's, honestly, that's pretty good. So now what I'm going to do before I open it up is drill the holes. Alright, so I brought us back over to the big disc sander, and I put us on a, I guess a drilling block that I've got. It's just a piece of Baltic birch plywood that I was practicing my wood burning on. But this is what I use to drill my earrings on so that I don't drill into a work surface that I like. And what you want to do is kind of try to find the center here. And I've just got a 1/16 inch drill bit, and I want it far enough down that the hole doesn't come in too close to the sides. Oh dang, that's not focusing. Doesn't come in, oh there we go, too close to the sides of the wood. And is also not too close to the top, because that top piece could actually just pop right out, and I really don't want that to happen. So now that I've got it marked, I can start drilling, hopefully, and it goes straight in if I'm being careful, and just all the way through into the second earring, and hopefully that one is close to centered too. Alright, they are about the same, so it looks like I'm a little bit closer to this edge. Now, because I'm already done sanding, that shouldn't be a problem. So I'm going to do the same for the other, and you can see that, well, maybe you can see, this opens up a lot faster, so it's not at as an acute of an angle. It's more of an obtuse angle. It's still acute, but it's not as acute. And so there's more space right here, even though these two faces right here are approximately the same size, a tiny, tiny little bit bigger. But that means that I just have more room to drill the hole. Remember that when you're actually planning out your own earrings. If you're planning out your own earrings, or you could just be watching. Who knows? I don't know. Aha! See, that one was much better. I like that. All right, I'm just gonna clean that up a little bit. If you've got some sandpaper or you wanna take it right back to the sander for a second to fix these little torn out fibers right there, I would recommend doing that because it's gonna be harder to do later. All right, now in a new area of the shop. What is that, 4 spots that we've been so far? I just have this clear area to have the grand reveal, and then I'm gonna actually finish and assemble real quick too, but I want it to be nice and bright so that you guys could actually see. So I've just got some cardstock behind me, and if I really felt like protecting my work surface, that would help too. So I'm just peeling open with my fingernails, but a better option, which I should have thought of, would be to take my handy dandy utility knife, which this one's not labeled. It should be. If you know me, I know I need to label everything, and it's just kind of opening up, and you just kind of want to angle the knife to the side just to open it so that you can pull it apart by hand, and then voila! That's a really cool kind of flame pattern. Look at that, that's nice. Wow. I'm gonna set that one to the side and see if there's anything at all exciting about this piece before we pop some finish on there. And you never know, it could end up looking really cool, or you might end up wanting to put some Trans-Tint dye on it or some other brand of dye so that it's just not a boring piece. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about those. My little holes disappeared. Oh, that side's better. I like that more. Okay, I'll go with that as being the front. All right, wow, look at that. Those look so nice. All right, I'm gonna zoom out real quick so that you don't just see my hands moving around. And I've got here a jar of some liquid. Now, I bet you're wondering, what the heck is in that jar? Well, I will tell you. It is a 50-50 mix of, let me just grab the cans and containers real quick. It is a 50-50 mix of Zinsser's Bullseye Seal Coat Wax-Free Shellac Universal Sanding Sealer, and to let it dry a little bit faster, it's cut about 50-50 with some denatured alcohol. Yay! All right, and I'm just going to hand wipe that on. I've got some blue cloth. Cotton rags work really well too. And I'm just gonna saturate that cloth. I'm gonna save that one for last. And I am just going to, oh, looks pretty nice actually. Wipe that on, let it saturate. I'm gonna go all the way around the piece. And then later on, after I leave you guys, and after this sort of cures for a little while and it saturates a little bit, I'm actually gonna come back and probably put another coat, sand it back with some steel wool like I had mentioned before. Oh look, ah crud, there's yellow on my hands. I don't know if you noticed, but I am covered in dyes. Anyways, I'll come back later, probably put another coat on, put some, oh, that's the wood, not what I got on it. Ah, that looks pretty nice. I've said this before, I'm going to buff it back with some steel wool, just to kind of bring those fibers back down, and then I'll do a finish coat of some spray lacquer. I like Deft, so I'm going to do some Deft spray lacquer. Oh yeah, that looks nice. Oh, that spalting is really starting to pop. I'm excited for you guys to see the front, but I'm going to save that part for last. Oh boy. I guess I probably shouldn't be facing these sanding sealer face down. Oh well. I'm gonna dip a little bit so we get that grand finish. Those are so nice. Yeah, I like that. I'd wear these. Although I wear turkey legs on Halloween, so me wearing these might not be saying much. Ta Ta-da! Now, if you want to learn how to assemble them into an earring, I'm going to show you on one, and I'm going to direct your attention to my jewelry case, where we've got a large assortment of things. First thing is going to be some jump rings. So these are what we call jump rings. And a jump ring is a ring with a break in it. And what you're going to do, you see that little break right there? You're going to take, if you feel like ruining your fingernails, you're going to use your hands. Or you're going to use 2 pairs of pliers, one on either side of the break. And rather than trying to pull them open like that, you're going to twist it open so that you're actually making a small section of a spiral. Let me zoom or focus on that. That might work. Okay, so I'm going to twist wide enough that I can actually get my earring into the piece. See, that worked, and I didn't scratch up the surface of it. Now, I'm skipping a few steps, but I wanted you to see how I would typically assemble these pieces. So then you're just going to twist it close again. Sorry, I left the camera. But all you do is just grab the other side with the pliers again, twist it close. Try to make sure that these 2 pieces actually line up really well. I'll fix that later. They're a little tiny bit misaligned, but that's okay. And then, once you have that in there, you're going to grab, if you have it, a much smaller jump ring and an ear hook or an ear wire. So in my earrings, I typically have 2 sizes of jump rings. This large one that's actually going to be connecting the wood to the hardware, or to the first jump ring. An ear wire of your choosing. I like to use sterling silver because less people have bad reactions to sterling silver. It doesn't have nickel in it. And you don't even have to open this. What you're going to do is take the kind of intermediate jump ring, which is super tiny, so don't drop it. Especially if you've got a pile of shavings nearby. You don't have to open this one as far. And then, knowing which side is your front, you're going to want to face the earring so that the back of the earring, or like the curved part of the earring, faces the front. That way, as it goes into your ear, the front of the earring will be displayed. Then take that and close it, and voila! Beautiful, nearly finished earring and earrings. Ta-da! La 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 la! Ta-da! I like these.
All right, it's even warmer in the shop than it was before. I'm even worse than I was before. But it was worth it, because guess what? I made something. I did something and I enjoyed doing it. So who cares if it's hot and I'm miserable physically if I am mentally very happy? That's where I need to be right now. That's the mental state I love to be in. Even if I am just dripping in sweat and I smell disgusting, I don't care. Because I get to hop in the shower as soon as I'm done here, because I'm connected to my shop. All right, so probably too much information for anybody, but thank you so much for watching. If you feel like subscribing, go ahead. You're probably going to get more kind of jittery videos like this. If you really enjoyed this, if you want me to make something in my shop and show you the process of how to make it, feel free to drop me a message or post it in the comments and let me know. And if you want to be part of the first ever Woodturners Worldwide online symposium, it is a month from yesterday? Maybe a month from 2 days ago? It's about a month from today. And it is going to be woodturnersworldwide.com. It's the Woodturners Worldwide online symposium. And there are like close to 40 demonstrators signed up right now. Maybe I'm exaggerating. I'm one of them, so I'm going to be demonstrating 2 different things, and you could see me demo those things. And if you want to register, if you want to register and you want to save $10 at checkout, use my name at checkout as a coupon code. That sounded really confusing. Rebecca, REBECCA, at checkout to save you $10 on your registration. It's 3 days of awesomeness. All of that awesomeness is going to be recorded and then posted later on so that you can access it for about a month afterwards. And I hope you join. Even if you don't, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned at least a little bit of something, anything. I don't care. Or you just enjoyed wasting however long this is, whatever time that is for you. Any type of amusement during this time in our lives is good. So yeah, I do hope you got something out of it though. All right, I'm gonna go clean up. This is hot, not in a good way. Okay, bye.